we got Ryan Eisner in the mine, gold mine college basketball reporter slash expert slash our flag football coach. Honestly, I think we should start calling our team the gold
Yeah,
mine.
Ryan, as their coach, how are your hopes for the playoff game this week?
Um, don't lose. I'll say what I said in the group chat. Don't lose by too much. Just prevent them from scoring 100.
Don't lose by too much, so you have no hope of them winning at all.
Oh, I have no hope, no faith.
I'm a game manager. I'll keep it to 45.
You might want to run the triple.
You're not a game manager. You can barely play.
That's true. I can barely play. All right. So we're going to transition college basketball with Ryan Eisner. Weekly topic we've been liking. It's been working with us. So we're just going to jump right in. What the heck happened last weekend? And give me the upset that surprised you most and how you think that team will perform more going forward. Now, I'm curious what you say here because you kind of suspected both of the big ones could happen.
Yeah. What happened last weekend was March Madness at its finest. This is what we live for this time of year, right? Upsets, Cinderellas, and we were due for crazy stuff after being robbed of it last year. So the upset that surprised me the most, I was a little surprised that Oral Roberts, although I suspected it because of the scoring ability of Asmus and O'Banner, I was a little surprised to see Oral Roberts, the fourth-place team in the Summit League that had their fair share of issues against Summit League teams this year, not only beat Ohio State, but I was shocked that they then turned around and beat Florida, coming off the emotional high of that big upset. And they're playing an Arkansas team that they played in the regular season. They led by 10 at halftime and by as many as 12 at one point in that game before Arkansas came back. Both teams are obviously much better now. I think Oral Roberts keeps it close, but Arkansas wins. I can't go against the Muss Bus.
Yeah, I'm leaning Arkansas, and we'll get into that game more. But that line is 6. Like I think it's like right around 6-ish. That's look. If you're a betting man, I don't know which way I'm going on that. If I'm being brutally honest with you. All right, Ryan. The next thing I want to ask you about, this kind of ties in line with Oral Roberts. So that was my next question. But can you go into more depth about what you saw from Asmus and O'Banner in those two games and how they carried them?
Yeah, so Asmus was the nation's leading scorer all along, and all year, and his ability to make the big time plays was what made that Oral Roberts so maybe I wouldn't say attractive because not a lot of people actually picked him, but made them the 15 seed that a lot of people were like, this could be interesting. But now when you add in O'Banner, those are two big-time scorers and big-time shot makers. They just make plays. They make winning plays. The biggest thing I was impressed with was just overall their basketball IQs are really high. They make the smart play, and that makes them very dangerous because they do not play into your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I mean, I was really impressed by O'Banner when I was watching the game because we hadn't heard about him. He had good numbers, but coming into the game, all the conversation was about Asmus. And I think part of that's because they didn't actually expect Oral Roberts to last more than a game, so they just wanted to spotlight the big guy. But arguably, O'Banner was better, arguably, in that second game.
I would agree.
And so that's where, this is what I'm really shocked by, and that's what I really loved about, Oral Roberts in those two games. And we'll see how they match up against Arkansas. I think it's going to be hard to stop them. Arkansas's defense has been in and out all year, so, I mean, we'll see.
We will.
All right, next question, Ryan. I want to ask you your MVP of the tournament thus far.
Thus far, I'm going to go with Buddy Boeheim.
Okay.
We talk about players we talked about O'Banner and Asmus single-handedly carrying Oral Roberts. Buddy Boeheim is almost single-handedly carrying Syracuse. He's got some help, but his shooting, my God, has been spectacular. Not great. It's been spectacular this tournament. And so Buddy Boeheim has been the big key to Syracuse's success. And he will be the big key to their success or lack thereof against Houston.
Yeah, and I've been really impressed by Boeheim. Before
he's no Buddy Hield, though.
Well, Buddy Hield, don't put him in the same sentence. But but he's 13 of 23 from three in the tournament from what I saw. I think he had 29 in the first game, and I think he had like 26 in the second one. Like incredibly impressive numbers. And it's for a Syracuse team that scoring wise had struggled throughout the year. So I'm very impressed by Boeheim. I'm curious, Joe, do you have an alternative one? Because I thought about this really in depth, and I thought you could make a case for A. Smith, of course. You could even just because of how well he's played, even though obviously it's a 15 seed, it's Oral Roberts, but he's played really well. What about you, Joe?
Yeah. Well, this one kind of goes with my hey. This one kind of goes with my most surprising team. And I'm not going to say Oral Roberts. I'm going to say the team that was ranked last in their preseason poll, Oregon State.
Yeah, Ethan Thompson.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ethan Thompson.
Okay, he's had some good games.
He's been very good for Oregon State.
Yeah, especially down the stretch of the season. That is a good pick. Good pick. All right. So the next question I want to ask is, we're just going to preview the Sweet 16. We're going to go game by game, and then we'll figure out our Final Four picks. So up in the West region, we have Gonzaga and Creighton. You and I have talked about this. I think we're on the same page here, and Joe can obviously hop in as well.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, I think we're on the same page. This should be a cakewalk for Gonzaga. I don't see anything with Creighton outside of a racist moron of a coach that would pose, and that doesn't pose any threat. So I see nothing with Creighton that poses any threat to Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Creighton's defense isn't good enough. I think that they can't really
good enough.
They can't
slow Gonzaga down.
The fact that Creighton's gotten this far, in my opinion, is kind of shocking.
I think honestly, I had UCSB. I think we all did, and UCSB was a layup away.
Yeah, this is the first time they've made the Sweet 16 in since the 1970s, which is not a very positive indictment of Greg McDermott's coaching ability. I'll say that, considering some of the teams they've had in the past.
Fair enough. Yeah, and then moving on here in the other matchup here. This one's interesting. Oregon and USC. I know you're high on Dana Altman. I'm kind of leaning more in the Evan Mobley, just how well they played against Kansas. But this is a toss-up game.
This is a toss-up. I love USC. I really do. I love Evan Mobley. But I've learned over the years not to bet against Dana Altman in this situation. So I'm going to go Oregon over USC in a very, very tight game here.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I don't think it's a toss-up I think it's going to be Oregon. I think they are definitely if you think it's a toss-up, I think it shows that they're kind of underrated here.
Oh, they're absolutely
underrated. Well, they're underseeded absolutely because they were not healthy during the year, so it made them hard to evaluate. But fully healthy now, Oregon is probably the biggest threat to Gonzaga remaining in the entire field.
Hey, I tweeted Oregon was going to beat Gonzaga. So
you also tweeted Kansas was going to go to the Final Four.
I don't think I tweeted that. I think I said
that.
You
certainly did. I can attest to that. You certainly did.
You picked it at least.
Not your best moment. It's okay.
All right, but anyway, USC. I go back and forth on this because I think Oregon's insanely underrated. But they came up the game of their lives against Iowa. The offense was spectacular. It's hard because I picked USC originally, so I'm going to stick with it, but I feel uneasy about it. Because both of you make great cases. The guard play for Oregon's incredible. Chris Duarte's playing phenomenally. Their front court managed.
Will Richardson.
Yeah, Richardson had a phenomenal game against Iowa. Kapang adds some defensive push with a shot blocking ability. I'm going to, in the interest of keeping things interesting, I'll back Evan Mobley just because of how well they played against Kansas, but I'm not confident in it. And honestly, the more you talk about it, the more I get persuaded to lean towards Oregon. All right. I don't know. I think Joe's probably scanning his Twitter. So the next game we're going to mention is in the East region. It's Michigan against Florida State. Ryan, I think we're actually on the same page on this one.
I think we are on the same page on this one as well. Oh, I'm going with the Noles. Leonard Hamilton gets back to the Elite Eight. This is a rematch, actually, of an Elite Eight game from a couple years ago. If you remember the one where Leonard Hamilton basically gave up and stopped fouling at the end and then got testy with the reporter when asked about it, it was against Michigan. And so maybe some little revenge factor here, but I think a lot. Now, if some chance Isaiah Livers is able to go, which I don't think he is because I think we would have heard by now, then that changes things. But without Isaiah Livers, I think Michigan is going to struggle with Florida State. In particular, with what everyone struggles with against Florida State is just their length and athleticism.
Yeah, I think Florida State is going to keep this game low scoring. That's not going to benefit Michigan at all.
It will not.
And
55-50 FSU.
I genuinely think it's going to be really low scoring. I think, look, Florida State turns it over a lot, but Michigan's defense, the number one thing I've read is their defense doesn't actually excel at forcing turnovers. They rebound decently well. They're good on ball, but they don't force turnovers.
Yeah, no, that's going to be the key. If Florida State turns the ball over a lot, they're going to be in trouble.
Absolutely.
Livers or no livers. If they're being careless with the ball, they are going to be in real trouble.
Absolutely. I think they hold on to the ball just well enough. They keep this low scoring. Michigan doesn't have this offensive bailout piece in Livers to kind of help carry them. I think they frustrate Franz Wagner a lot. I think they give Dickinson some problems with their size and length because I think the biggest way you beat Michigan is you put size on Dickinson.
Yeah, I haven't been that impressed with Franz Wagner this tournament so far. I don't think he's played very well. And Michigan, I think, needs him to step up if they want to get past Florida State.
Absolutely. Joe, what's your pick in this game?
Which game?
Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah, we're all with you on that one.
Yeah.
All right, the next game and the final game from Sunday. We'll go back to Saturday's games after. UCLA, Alabama, perhaps a little more intriguing than this would have looked before the tournament. But with the way UCLA has been playing, this becomes a bit of an interesting matchup.
I'm not sure, actually. This is the game that I think has the biggest blowout potential in the Sweet 16 because the way Alabama's been playing offensively of late is just off the charts. If UCLA's defense is going to have to be the best it's been all season long if they want to even hang around. Also, I personally just don't trust Mick Cronin teams, especially this late into the tournament. But UCLA, what I worry about with them is, are they out of gas? They've played 3 games in the tournament. Do they still have enough in the tank? It's not just the physical component, it's also the mental component, especially this year with the bubble. UCLA in particular, they have injuries, all sorts of things going on. But from a basketball perspective, I just think Alabama's much better than UCLA is. I think
that's
the talent gap is pretty wide.
Yeah, I really thought I didn't understand why you asked this question, Sam, because I kind of thought, a lot of people thought Alabama was going to blow out UCLA.
I think it's going to be closer than people think just because UCLA has been playing really good basketball lately, and I think Bama's due for an off shooting night. I know it kind of happened against Iona a little bit, but I picked Alabama in the game. I think that it's not as crazy a blowout as people think. It's the tournament. It's the Sweet 16.
Yeah, no.
Jaquez and Juzang are playing out of their minds. But Alabama's defense perimeter, I think they'll win because their perimeter defense is so good, and UCLA has been lighting it up in spurts from the perimeter. I think it's even if Alabama is off, which they might be a little off compared to how they were in the second round. It won't matter because I think that their defense will keep them afloat and they'll score. They don't have problems scoring points. So I think they'll win that game. All right, the next game, we're moving now to the Midwest region. We got the Fighting Sister Jeans against the Beavers of Oregon State. I think I know who we've all got to be taking here, right?
Yeah, because this is my pick to make it out of the Midwest region and make it to the Final Four for the second time in the last 4 seasons and second time in the last 3 NCAA tournaments, the Ramblers of Loyola Chicago. It's been an amazing run for Oregon State, but they're going to run into the same problem that so many other teams have ran into against Loyola this year, and that problem's name is Cameron Krutwig. He's just an absolute beast. He's so hard to stop, and Oregon State, again, amazing run, but they're not going to be the team that figures out how to slow him down.
I'm pretty sure you misspoke there. Loyola's big piece is point guard Sister Jean.
I'll have to double check the roster. Last I checked, she was the chaplain, not the point guard. But
Braden Norris and Sister Jean, it's easy to confuse them.
Easy to confuse them, but there's not a 100-year age difference or anything there.
Yeah.
It's only 80.
80.
Big difference.
Anyway, Joe, who are you taking in this game?
I'm taking the Ramblers. Okay. Totally agree. Like, it's Oregon State's time to leave.
I'm with Loyola as well. I think the thing about Oregon State is their offense coming into the tournament wasn't exactly well renowned. Loyola's very renowned at slowing the pace down, and I think they're going to win a game of patience like they did against Illinois, like they did in their first round matchup as well. But I think Loyola Chicago, their guards are sneaky talented. And I think that that's where Oregon State would beat them. Yes, they have their big. I forgot the guy's name, but the big played very well. Krutwig won't have an issue with it with that guy. I think the guard play, Ethan Thompson's been phenomenal, but Williamson, Norris, those guys have been great the whole season. They're good. They're like they can score off the dribble, they can score from three, and they're great defensively. I think that this Loyola team is just a better team. And I think that that's what we'll find out. Oregon State might come in expecting to win on their athleticism. Loyola will neutralize that with the pace of the game. All right, next game here in the West region. The memes. Oral Roberts and Arkansas. You can look on Twitter if you want to find memes about this game.
Bill Clinton Bowl.
Yeah. No. Let's not look on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I'm going to go first and say Arkansas. The fact that Oral Roberts got this far, it's big for them, but I think this one, Arkansas is going to just outscore them.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, Arkansas is just better. It's been an amazing run for Oral Roberts, but the Muss Bus, the fighting Eric Musselmans, they're going to roll on to the Elite Eight behind some hot shooting and some stellar defense that Oral Roberts just won't be able to crack.
So you guys remember I've been talking the last month and a half about Arkansas, right? Like, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon now.
I've been right. This team is good.
You think I'm jumping off Moses Moody, JD Note, and Justin Smith, who, by the way, was on full-out X Games mode against Texas Tech. He was on something, bro. He was playing out of his mind. All over the shop. He helps them so much defensively with his eraser ability at the rim and ability to run the floor, and he gets into great positions off ball. I'm very impressed by him, by the way. Like I can't say enough good things about Justin Smith. Yes. But like, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. Like, look, Oral Roberts has been great. But I'm not jumping off the bandwagon, especially when Oral Roberts can't guard. Like, Arkansas all day. Give me Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas all day. This is the best team Arkansas has had since the back-to-back Final Four runs and the 40 minutes of hell days of Nolan Richardson and a religious school playing a team known for basketball style called 40 Minutes of Hell will never not be amusing.
Yeah, and other, of course.
Among others.
Yes. All right, Villanova and Baylor. We're moving now into the South region. This is our final region. I think we're probably all relatively confident about who we like here.
Oh, yeah.
Villanova, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, if this were 2017 or 2018, that'd be a great pick. Unfortunately, I looked at the calendar, and it's actually 2021. Baylor.
It is?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Being a 4-year coma, I guess. Okay, so we're picking Baylor, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Baylor as well. Villanova, we don't have to really go into it. I just don't.
All of us put Winthrop over Villanova in the first round.
I put Winthrop over Nova.
I put Winthrop.
Yeah.
We just lost their coach. Shame.
Yeah, brutality. All right, the last game. This one's interesting. Like, this one I am very intrigued by. Syracuse and Houston.
Syracuse is on a hot streak, and Houston looked horrible against their game against Rutgers. So
Syracuse also barely made the tournament, which means they have to at least make the Elite Eight. That's the rule.
Well, I think that rule is going to be broken. I'm going to stick with Houston on this one.
Texas, man. He's a Texas man.
I'm going to go with the fighting Jim Boeheims. I like Syracuse and Buddy Boeheim. I saw an amazing picture of him with Carmelo Anthony when he was like 3 years old. That was just like all the feels. But anyway, I think the shooting of Syracuse, and also there is something to be said for the fact that these teams Syracuse plays in the NCAA tournament are not as familiar with the zone. And Syracuse, a lot of their zone is actually a matchup zone, which is even harder than a regular zone, because a matchup zone, you're supposed to think they're playing zone, but it's a lot of man-to-man principles. And so you attack it like a zone, but then you realize, oh crap, they're actually in man-to-man. But by the time you realize that, it's too late. So I do think that zone, which stifled San Diego State. I mean, I think San Diego State went almost like the last 10 minutes of the first half without scoring a point. Like, and Houston has struggled a lot offensively at times this year. I think the styles of this game, schematically, I think this game favors Syracuse.
I agree, and here's I picked Syracuse, and I picked them since the moment this game was kind of finalized. Houston's offense has been spotty all year. Dejan Giroux's injured; he's got a hip problem, and he's gonna play. Like he played through it last week, but they needed a late comeback to beat Rutgers, whose defense is not renowned. Yes, Miles Johnson's a good shot blocker, but their defense is not renowned. And their offense didn't look great. It looked kind of stagnant. It looked very ISO based. It didn't work.
All things you don't want to do against the zone or a matchup zone, by the way.
Exactly my point. Like to prepare for Syracuse's zone, not facing it all year, the athleticism of ththose guys, Buddy Boeheim shooting lights out, the whole team shooting lights out, not just Boeheim.
Houston's shooting is not the best. Far from it.
And that's kind of my point. Like, I think the only way Houston wins this game is getting numerous offensive boards. Despite the fact that rebounding out of a zone is tough, I just see Syracuse being too hard to break down defensively.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, though. It's the offensive rebounds that I think are going to keep Houston in the game. And that's one thing that I think is going to be the thing that eventually keep Syracuse from going really deep. That's going to be the thing that gets them knocked out, because rebounding out of a zone is hard if you can't figure it out, because you don't have boxing out responsibilities in the zone. So it's the boxing out part that's trickier, and offensive players get free shots at the rim.
Yeah. And that's my nerves about it. Like, I think Houston could win this game based on that. I just see that this game script doesn't favor them. They're not shooting well.
Matchup favors Syracuse, in my opinion.
All right, Joe, do you have anything you want to say on Houston's behalf?
I'm going to stick with Houston, and I guess we will see come what? Do they play Saturday?
I think they play Saturday, yeah. I think they play tomorrow.
We will see.
Yes, I believe they play Saturday.
The late night game, 9:55, I think.
We'll see. I'm right.
Hey y'all, thank you everyone for watching. If you want to see our last video, click here. If you want to see our next video, click here. And if you want to subscribe, click on my face.